Welcome to our observance of Martin Luther King Day. My name is Laura Russell, and I'm a history teacher and the Director of Equity and Belonging here at Derryfield. I'm excited to share with you the plan for today's observance. Our community meeting, right here and now, will include a musical selection performed by our concert choir, a reflection from Zora Brady, class of 24, an introduction of our speaker by Mr. Oconee, and our keynote speaker, Mr. Joel Christian Gill. Mr. Gill will then spend the day with us, visiting classes and having lunch in the Gateway building with those of you who signed up last week. I also want to mention that yesterday, at the Manchester Community celebration of Martin Luther King Day, Derryfield senior Sarah Najee was awarded the Vanessa Washington Johnson Award, recognizing her as an emerging leader in movements for social justice. In addition, she was joined by Josue Perez on a student panel to talk about what the idea of a beloved community meant to them. Sarah and Josue, we are so proud of your contributions to the community of Manchester and Derryfield. I would also like to mention that it is the E. Charles Sanborn Fund that has enabled us to have Mr. Gill here today. In 1995, the Derryfield Board of Trustees established this endowed fund to honor Mr. Sanborn's 20 years of service to the school and to support the Visiting Fellows program, which he created in the mid-1980s. Distinguished lecturers, scholars, and writers visit the Derryfield campus for classroom visits, faculty workshops, and public forums, thanks to the proceeds from this fund. Before his retirement in 2003, Mr. Sanborn served as the Director of Studies, Director of Development and Planning, Interim Headmaster, History Teacher, Coach, and Director of College Planning. And we welcome Chuck and Wendy, his wife, with us today. The historian David Thalen has said that the challenge of history is to recover the past and introduce it to the present. Today, as we consider the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., someone who is a person of the past for most, but not all of us, we recognize the debt we owe him and those who worked with him. They did not let us forget the past. They did not let us forget the promises in our founding documents that laid out the why and the how of the American experiment, which include the ideals of equality and justice. These were and remain noble ideals, but Dr. King and those many others of his generation also could not let us forget the breach of those promises in the horror and suffering forced on millions who were enslaved and other millions who in his time lived under the grinding oppression of Jim Crow. King and those he worked with had the audacity to bring this complicated past right up to our face as a nation. They demanded that our nation acknowledge that the promises of those founding documents of the past belong to everyone in the present, and so did the breach of those promises. Today, we might be tempted to say that this business of introducing the past to the present is too hard. We'd rather ignore this complex past and do nothing, but doing nothing accomplishes nothing. Fortunately, each of us has the power to do something. As King said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Today's speaker, Joel Christian Gill, in his work of introducing the past to the present through historical research, storytelling, and art, has indeed moved us forward.